Here's where we are today, and we've got the return of the Messiah. Little break here. At some stage there's a rapture, and this is the fullness of the Gentiles complete. NB, no more Gentiles added to the body of Christ at this point here. After the rapture, the rapture is where we stand before Christ at the judgment seat, or the bema seat. Judgment seat of Christ. That's a B, not a judgment seat. At some stage after that, quickly, I don't really know, it doesn't say, but we've got the man of sin, and this begins the tribulation, or the time of Jacob's trouble. Now, somewhere in here, Israel converted. This period in here is called, well, Ezekiel 20, I'm calling it the shepherd's rod, or shepherd's star, shepherd's crook. Ezekiel 20. The bema seat is an assessment. The shepherd's rod is judgment, discipline, and where that's specific to Israel. This assessment is for rewards for the church, or the body of Christ, same thing. Here we've got the Messiah returning, and then at this point here, I don't know how much time. This is broken up into 1,260 days. 1,260 days. We see that the beast in here, Revelation 17 and 18. You get Babylon. You see the woman dressed in scarlet. She's riding a beast. That's Revelation 17 and 18. Babylon the Great, or the woman riding the beast. Now you'll see that as the fourth beast in Daniel 7, and you'll see it's the feet and toes of iron and clay of Daniel 2. Yeah. Let me see if that's still. Yeah, that's about right. Now, so you got Revelation 17:18. You got the fourth beast of Daniel 7, and you've got the feet and toes of Daniel 2 of the statue, right? That gets destroyed in here when the Lord comes again. So this gets destroyed, and Christ is then inaugurated. He dispatches all his enemies. gets rid of the woman. The beast kills the woman, rends the woman. The beast is destroyed by the king with the breath of his mouth. Satan is then, here is king, somewhere in here Satan is cast into the bottomless pit, or the abyss, ABYSS, or the bottomless pit, and at the end for 1,000 years. This point here, when he becomes king, that's where you get the sheep and goat judgment. So these, at this point, all the believers are taken out. Beyond that point, there is only, beyond that point there, beyond this point here, there is only unbelievers. UNBELI. Here Israel gets converted. And they become the only believers on earth. So at that point, the only believers on earth are Jewish, Israeli, sons of Jacob, children of Israel. Right? After the Messiah comes, rescues them, the sheep and goat judgment. The goat, they go down to the lake. The goat, prepared for the devil and his angels. So they go in first. These goats are the first ones into the lake of fire. These sheep go into the millennium. They become believers. Well, actually these are all believers, because you see in Matthew 25, they say, "But Lord, when did we see you thirsty, hungry, naked, in prison?" They use the word Lord, just like Paul did on the road to Damascus where he was converted. He said, "Lord, who are you, Lord?" So they both see him. They're both looking directly at the king, and the king says to the goats, "Because you didn't, you go to the lake of fire." He says to the sheep, "Because you did go into my kingdom for 1,000 years," and they become believers, alive. They live. These goats go into the lake of fire, alive, and very sad for them. Very sad for them. Eventually, they're joined by Satan. Anyway, so this beast goes in there. Satan eventually goes in there at the end of the millennium, and you'll see that in Revelation 20. This Revelation 19, the last half, when the Messiah comes again. So all the believers, there are no believers on the planet after the rapture. Everybody on the planet are unbelievers. Israel gets converted, they become the only believers. When the Messiah returns, he rescues Israel, destroys the enemies of Israel. He brings all the Gentile nations before him, and he says to the goat down here and the sheep over there, the sheep become believers, but they're mortal, in mortal bodies, which means they can die again. Well, not again, but they can die. So that would be all the people in Australia, South Africa, who didn't go and surround Jerusalem. The mums and dads who the people who didn't get on a plane or a boat or a ship and go and amass around Jerusalem and outwardly rebel against or want to destroy Israel. They are the ones that the Messiah destroys, the ones that surround Israel. He destroys them with the breath of his mouth. All those people left on the planet in Africa, Europe, Russia, China, Alaska, Chile, Argentina, the South Pacific Islands. They don't actively participate in trying to destroy Israel. They're still in their homes, probably watching it all on TV. The Lord gathers all those people, and he says, he divides them to sheep and the goat. That's a judgment there. This is judgment here. This is a judgment, but it's really an assessment. That's an assessment too, really, whether you're a sheep or you're a goat. Anyway, let me know if that makes sense or doesn't.